So our next speaker is going to talk a lot about transferring academia into products, about how to build things, looking at some of that Swiss Silicon Valley mindset as well, which is something that I hold very dear to my heart as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Amin Shokrollahi, the founder of Kondu. Guys, give him a big round of applause. Good to see you. I know you got to do the elbow. That's right.
Okay. Well, good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation. And thank you very much for pronouncing my name correctly. That's not easy. I know that. All right. So I'll just give you a brief introduction of who I am a little bit. I studied in Karlsruhe in Germany. After that, I went to Bonn for my PhD. After that, I went to Berkeley for a postdoc of 1 year, but then I got stuck in the US for about 9 years. In 2003, I came back to Europe. I'm a professor at EPFL, the sister university of ETH Zurich. Or maybe better to say ETH Zurich is the sister university of EPFL. It's probably the more. So you see a bunch of gaps there. That's because I worked also in companies. I joined Bell Laboratories in 1998, was there until 2000. Then from 2000 to 2009, I was the chief scientist of a company called Digital Fountain that I will talk about a little bit. Digital Fountain was acquired by Qualcomm, so I was kind of working with Qualcomm for a year. And then I started another company, Kondu, that I will also talk about. All right. So technology transfer is a topic that's really very dear to my heart. I have been thinking about it intensively since 1996. So it starts with research, going into innovation, going into prototypes, going into products. And the whole chain here is quite complicated, and I think sort of riddled with elements that I can only describe as luck. Why? Because really academia and industrial research, they live on two different planets. They all say they do research, but they're very, very different. So why is that? There are many differences. For example, the ecosystem of ideas is different in academia. In academia, we go to conferences, we have our students, we read papers or our own research. That's how we get the ideas. In the industry, it's different. So the ecosystem of ideas comes from competition or the market, how it's developing, and product lines. So, you go incrementally improve the previous product that you had because you're selling it at a very good price. Why change it? The way of thinking is very different. In academia, we learn to abstract things out. It's really top-down. And in the industry, it's usually more bottom-up, right? So, it's very concrete. And then sometimes that concrete becomes something that you can, that's more researchy. Also, the reward system is very different. In academia, we are stimulated very much by intellectual satisfaction and also peer recognition. In the industry, really the only thing that matters is how much money you're making. And I'm not saying it as a negative. It's actually a positive. It's just there's one, if you don't make any money, you're not going to get anywhere. Also, what we call in academia practical research or applied research is very different from what the industry calls applied research. Really, what we call applied research is still absolutely theoretical for many, many industrial entities. And sort of going from one part to another is quite difficult. And I say the path is long and full of terrors. Maybe you have watched a series on HBO. I've just appropriated a slogan from that. It is really very difficult to go from one step to another. And here's really the thing. When we go from academia to industry, we have to think in terms of products, not technology. Technology is only a very small piece of the entire thing. Very small piece. I put just some number here, 5%, whatever that means. I actually think it's even less. And when somebody goes into industry, you have to make your hands dirty. You cannot say, well, here's a fantastic idea, go implement it, make products, and I license it to you. You have to learn a lot of things. So you have to listen and learn that. And really, the bottom line is technology transfer is really, 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 really hard. Also, what is really funny is failure is a necessary part of that. I will give you here an example. The gentleman you see here, his name is William Shockley, or was. He was one of the inventors of the transistor and got the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1956. He was at Bell Labs, but he decided to take his knowledge of a transistor and create an industry. He is usually called the man who brought silicon to Silicon Valley. Before he went there was no silicon industry there. So he created something called the Shockley Semiconductor Labs. And it was a massive failure. Massive, on all levels. But was it? 8 of his employees, they're called the traitorous 8, they went on revolting against him. He would bring, here's an anecdote, he would bring lie detectors into the building to make sure that his employees are not planning on killing him. Would bring in lie detectors, lock the doors, and everybody had to go through that lie detector. This is the man he was, William Shockley. Anyway, these 8 guys revolted against him. They created a company called Fairchild. Fairchild still exists. But what is even more interesting is what they did. 2 of them created Intel. 2 of them created what's called Teledyne Technologies. 1 of them went on to create Zycor. 1 of them was one of the founders of Kleiner Perkins, which is a very respected VC firm, that went on to invest in all the companies you see there. And another one created Intersil, etc. So yes, the company was in itself a failure, but it created a lot of very, very, very interesting things. So I would like to talk about my experience. It's just very personal experience. It doesn't mean that you can generalize it. And it's about 2 companies. One is called was called Digital Fountain. It was a company, I wasn't the co-founder. This was created in 1998 by 2 gentlemen, Michael Luby and Jay Golden. And it was in part based on research that I did in Berkeley. It raised about $50 million. It was acquired by Qualcomm in 2009. And in 2000, I kind of came back from Bell Labs and joined the company as their chief scientist. And I stayed with the company until its acquisition. So what was it? What the company did was say, you're sending data on an impaired network, right? So let's say the internet, for example. And what happens is that parts of the data get lost in transmission. And you want to make sure that you recover what's lost. So we created something called a digital fountain, meaning that you create an infinite number of pieces, or potentially infinite number of pieces of the original file, with the property that if you collect any number of those that is in aggregate equal in size to the original file, you can go and recover the file. It's the digital analog of a fountain. Why? Because in a fountain, so here's really how you can do it. You create something that's called a broadcast system. You broadcast the data over to your customers, and as soon as they have enough, as soon as they have collected enough, they can go ahead and recover the file. So for example, if this is the file, you're creating droplets, if you will, from the file. And if you collect enough droplets, put them together, you should be able to recover the file very quickly. This was really the technology that was behind this company. And as I said, it's like an analog fountain. If you want to fill up a cup of water under a fountain, you just hold it under the fountain. Which drops really land in your cup or glass doesn't really mean anything. As soon as the glass is full, you're going to go and drink your water. So this is really, in practice, what happens. So this, the server starts sending these, what we call packets, into the network. And as soon as you have enough, you go ahead and recover the original file. It had very strong research behind it. Our early customers, I tell everybody, if you know the movie Lord of the Rings, Part 3, this was done on time because of our technology, because we sold our servers to Warner Brothers, and they could send the digital dailies very quickly from New Zealand over to Burbank for post-production. And also, the Last Samurai was finished on time because of it. We had a number of very important and interesting backers, both VCs and strategic investors. Here are some pictures I made, over the years there. It was very nice. Of course, you grow together like a family when you go through such an experience. So the company had many strong points. We had very good research, a very cool technology. We had a top-notch R&D team, and we had very dedicated and loyal employees. One of the less strong points was it was a very widely applicable technology. So it was easy to lose focus. And we did every once in a while. And it was hard to match the technology to products. And the business model, maybe in itself, was also not as good as it could be, or could have been. I had the pleasure to work with really absolutely excellent people there. These two gentlemen here in the bottom, they're very interesting because they were let go, right? And they went to Australia and created a company called Where2 Technologies. Who knows Where2 Technologies? Well, you know it, I think, under a new name. It's called Google Maps. So they sold the company to Google right before Google went public. So I think each of them owns half an island off the coast of Sydney or something like that. And their claim to fame, Digital Found's claim to fame is they let go of these two people. So that's. Anyways, the company was acquired by Qualcomm in 2009, and that was it. So Qualcomm is marketing the coding technology that we developed, which was called Raptor codes, and they stuck a Q at the end, so it became Raptor Q for Qualcomm, and that's what they're selling. All right, so let me talk about Kondu. That's the company I'm running today. And this has to do with something that's called Interconnect Bottleneck. So if you have two chips in any device, be it this laptop, be it your phone, or whatever, these chips need to transmit information between one another. They are connected by wires, and they need to transmit information. And probably you've heard that the amount of data doubles every 18 months. This really means that the amount of data that you have to transfer between these chips also doubles, at least doubles every 18 months. So how do you do that? How is this possible? So this is generally called the interconnect bottleneck. I had no idea about this. I'm a mathematician by training. And I had a chance encounter. So one of my postdocs was, we were looking at a problem. And that problem led to the transmission of data between two chips. And it was very fortuitous because the lab's research, it seemed, was directly applicable to solve this problem. It has numerous applications. Basically, any electronic device you see can use this technology. Anything. Anything. So, sort of, equipped with the experience from Digital Fountain, I made up a plan, saying, we are going to do it in multiple phases. In the phase 1, we study the feasibility of this technology. It can remain within EPFL. In phase 2, we take the technology out to a spin-off, and we implement a prototype, develop the theory, and also the practice of it. And then in phase 3, after a major fundraise, we start product development. Mind you, I had no idea what product, but there had to be some product. And phase 4 was the growth phase. Okay? So here is plan versus reality. I thought phase 1 takes 6 months, and it did. I thought phase 2 takes about a year, and it did. I thought phase 3 takes 2 years. It was more like 5. And then I thought that phase 4, which is a massive growth, will go on after that. But, you know, we're not there yet. And it's now 10 years. Here is who we were at the end of phase 1, like 5 guys. You know, the other 4 were the ones who were actually designing all these circuits and everything. This is who we were in March of 2017. Still not too many people. And this is kind of as of a year ago, the people that we have in the company. Some people have left, very few, but we've added more people into this mix. They are in different places. You know, we have many in Switzerland, but also outside of Switzerland. We have people in the United Kingdom. We have you know, people in the US. We have people in Denmark, and we have people in Germany. And we have one salesperson, lonely salesperson in Japan, another one in Taiwan who is not here on this map. Here is kind of the dashboard, if you want to know. So we are about 120 people. It's distributed kind of worldwide. You know, this distribution has led us not being hit by COVID as much as many other companies, because we're used to that. So we have raised about 120 million so far. Of that, about 100 million investors and about 20 million sort of money we made with customers. We are in products of our customers, over 1 million of them right now. So if they have licensed our technology. We have a very strong patent portfolio. Actually, it says 350 plus. Right now, it's about 400. Our 200th granted patent will be published on Tuesday, next Tuesday. We have several customers across a wide range of the electronics industry, and we are part of 2 international standards. Okay, so one thing that my friends ask me is, so how is startup life? That is startup life. So you probably know the tale of Sisyphus. The struggle itself towards the heights is enough to fill a man's heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. If you don't, then don't go there. You have to be, you know, you have to be able to deal with a lot of frustration. But of course, there are also good moments. But most of the moments are not so good. All right, so this is from Albert Camus, The Myth of Sisyphus. And I'm sure those of you in the audience who are going through this experience will probably have the same opinion. All right, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those insights. I think that's one of the big challenges. We got a little something to help you get the laptop back home safely. I think it's always one of the big challenges to take something in theory into practice. And I really love the timeline where you showed, you know, at first you're still on track, but then there's a slight divergence.
Well, more than a slight.
A slight divergence. Well, we'll see, right? Infinity is a long time, right?
Yes.
So you can definitely make it out there. I want to open the round to some questions because I think a lot of people are probably working on some similar thoughts or trails where you have an idea that needs to come into practice and might have a question or two in there. So I'd love to open the round to questions. Fire away. Anybody working on any new products that they have in theory and want to turn into practice? No new products. No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean,
that's not a problem.
It's
that reminds me of when I teach, it's a very similar thing.
Sure.
When
right?
I ask people to ask questions, nobody does.
I know.
And then there comes the exam, and they say, "Damn."
All right, guys. Everybody, reach under your chair. You've got a Scantron to fill out. Okay. Usually, you know, we have this microphone you just throw out into the crowd, and it works wonders, right? It's you kind of have to catch it.
That's actually cool. Yeah, that's a cool
we
idea.
can't do it because of Corona this year. It's a little unfortunate, but it does make a lot of sense. But cool. Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You'll be around afterwards, right?
Yes.
So if people have some.
I was told to just quickly take this off so that the next speaker can.
Yeah. Don't worry. Don't worry. We've got you.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being here and sharing that. And best of luck and success with Kondu.
Thank you.